everyone, Zoe here. So for today's video on 5 mistakes, I'm going to look at making Creek Stewart's Tampon Fire Rockets. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Now, if the name Creek Stewart sounds familiar to anyone who's watched this channel for a while, I name drop Creek an awful lot, and I've heard the rumours that I'm secretly in love with him. But the reason I name drop Creek Stewart so often is, for me personally, he's one of the most influential people when it comes to the survival and bushcraft community. For me, I learn a lot from his webinars, his TV shows, his books, and his subscription services, and he's really approachable. So when I approached him on Instagram and went, Creek, do you mind if I do a video on your Tampon Fire Rockets? He was all for it, gave full consent, and he's even let me use extracts from his webinar to display the concept. So for today's video on 5 mistakes, it's going to be a 2-person video. Talk about a match made in heaven. It's going to be me and Creek Stewart. So I'm going to cut across the creek now to explain the concept between these Tampon Fire Rockets. Then I'm going to cut back to me, and I'm going to have a go at making my own. So, hand over to Creek Stewart.
Now, I went to a health food store. It's called Earth Fare in my area. You have to go to a health food store to get these because the ones you get at like the regular grocery stores have meltable materials like polypropylene and nylon and stuff in them. These little suckers that you get at like the health food store, they're 100% cotton. Okay, so here it is compared to a cotton ball. I know some of you have pet balls in your bug out bags, petroleum jelly soaked cotton balls, right? One of the best fire starters on earth. Well, I'm going to take this whole concept to another level. Okay, now when I take this tampon out of its wrapper and unfurl it and fray it up, I want you to see what this looks like. That's this tampon right here compared to a regular cotton ball. So we've got something that starts out much smaller and is waterproof and ends up to be about 15 times bigger than a regular cotton ball. So it goes from this to this. Okay, we all know cotton's flammable, right? Very flammable. I could hit this with a match or a ferro rod and it'd go right up. I'm going to take the string of this tampon, I'm going to wind it open a little bit there, kind of flare out the top. All right, I'm going to take, I've got some stormproof matches. You could use any strike-on surface match. I'm using this stormproof match here, okay? Get one out of here so you can see it. See that? Beautiful little baby. Okay, so I'm going to use a real knife here and sharpen my matchstick. There we go, perfect. Now watch this. I'm going to take this match with the sharp tip and I'm going to shove it down in the middle of this tampon. Try not to shove it into the palm of your hand. Check that out. So now I've got a match shoved into a tampon. Okay, don't worry, it gets better. I'm going to dip that, make me some candles, kind of. Okay, except they're more like Tampon Fire Rockets. Now, if you get your wax really hot, okay, if you get your wax really hot, you can dip these tampons in there, and that paraffin wax will saturate into that tampon, will totally saturate that tampon, and that extends the flame of these. It's like ridiculous. Okay, an average pet ball is going to burn about 5 to 10 minutes max. But one of these Tampon Fire Rockets, these things burn in between 20 and 30 minutes. I even put a couple that aren't covered in wax inside of there. Just on a little Altoids tin. You can put them in anything, a Ziploc bag. I've got a little striking strip right here. Guys, if you can't start a fire in any condition in the world with one of these, you can't start a fire. You are not going to be able to start a fire if you can't start a fire with one of these that burns strong for 30 minutes. It's ridiculous.
Thanks for that, Creek. Now I'm going to be showing you guys how I've made my version, and I purchased everything from Amazon. And here's what I'm going to be making mine from. We've got some Storm matches, some Naturacare branded 100% cotton tampons, and some paraffin wax. So while the alcohol stove heats up, I'm just going to put a handful of this paraffin wax into this soup tin. That's going to be our melting vessel. And as you can see, the paraffin wax is already starting to melt, and you don't need a particularly high temperature for this because the melting point of paraffin wax is only 37 degrees or 99 degrees Fahrenheit. And we'll give it enough time to melt all those little granules. Now that our paraffin's completely melted, I'm just going to take it off the heat with these vice grips because I don't particularly want to be touching the can with my naked hands. And I'm just going to extinguish the alcohol stove. So that's what we're left with. We're left with molten liquid paraffin, and all I'm going to do is take our tampon, I'm going to drop it into our liquid, just manipulating it with the string to get it nicely covered around our tampon. Hopefully that's showing nicely on camera. So there we go, our tampon's completely covered. Now what you don't want to do is when these are cooling, is let them touch any metal at all, because they will stick. So if you use your string, separate it out, and you use a small hook as a place to dry it. And now they've been hung up to dry, this is what they look like. And the texture is quite firm to the touch and also quite waxy. If they feel spongy or still have that cottony type of feel to them, consider redipping them. Now let me just quickly talk about these storm matches we're going to be using as our ignition source. Some people may not have heard of them, some people may not have seen them, and there's a reason we're using these rather than your standard household matches. They're storm matches. They're made to burn at a high temperature and very strongly so they resist being blown out by the wind. I'm just going to demonstrate that for you guys so you can see why we're using these. So it's got a regular striking surface just like any other household match. And this is how they burn. You can actually see it's all the way around the match rather than just on one side. And that's why we're using storm matches. We're going to have to sharpen the base. Now if you've never done that before, don't worry, it's really simple. If you look at any match, it's square, so it has 4 planes. And all we're going to be doing is coming along with our favourite woodcrafting knife. We're going to put it on one of those 4 planes and just very carefully just spin it out towards the bottom. When it's got thinner, we flip it over and we do it on the next plane. We do that on all 4 sides. You can take your time. I'm doing it a bit quick because I'm on camera and I've got to keep it quite high. So I've just done that on all 4 sides and I'm left with a point already. Just put it in the contrast against my skin. And then to come along and sharpen it, we just do exactly the same again. But you do it a bit more by eye, so more casual adjustments. And there we go. That point on there is already feeling like a cocktail stick. It's really quite nice and sharp. Now if you're going to be using these in an Altoids tin kit, I've already got the magic measurement for you. You want to make sure your match is 3 centimeters, which on these brands is roughly into the red section. When it's 3 centimeters, you put these inside your Tampon Fire Rockets and they'll still fit vertically in your Altoids tin without getting in the way. So when it comes to putting our match heads into our Tampon Fire Rockets, we need to look at this tail. Do we keep it or does it go? It's personal preference. They can be useful as a means of hanging them for storage, or you could use it to wrap another item around your Tampon Fire Rocket, say another match in case your primary one fails, or a striking surface, or maybe a piece of char cloth as an alternative ignition source. Now I'm just going to get rid of this one for the sake of demonstration, just so it doesn't get in the way. So there are different ways you can get these matches put in here. Now although we've sharpened them, we are putting them into solid impregnated cotton, so it will take a while just to drill them in very slowly, because what you don't want to do, you don't want to come along with your blade and start batting them in, because all you can do is snap the match or break the head. So you can work them in very slowly and just take your time. Now if you have something soft on hand, one of the tricks you can do, say my leather sheath for example, I can put it against the soft part of my sheath and apply some pressure with my thumb, making sure everything's nice and straight as not to bend the match, and I can slowly push it in that way. Or why would we take the risk of breaking our match in the first place when we can just come along with another one, just cut that tail off there quickly, and let's bore the hole in advance. So I've got a pair of tweezers here, just because it's the same kind of diameter. I'm just going to quickly scoot it around a few times, dig a nice borehole, and then slowly work it into that hole that I've already pushed in. Remembering that magic 3 centimeters. So there we go. There's some options for how we can put our matches inside our Tampon Fire Rockets. And if you have any liquid paraffin left over, one way you could store it is by pouring it into ice cube trays. And once it solidifies, you just pop out a nice cube of paraffin wax. Now, while I'm walking into the woods, it has rained overnight, so everything is sodden and damp. But I thought I'd just quickly point out, you don't have to melt your paraffin wax on an alcohol stove. That's what I did, but you can do it on your hob, or even in your oven. Or around the campfire. So, let's test out these Tampon Fire Rockets. Now, to prepare one of these Tampon Fire Rockets, all I've done is come along and use my blade to open up a load of fibres near the match. So all that cotton, all that saturated paraffin, it's all got a higher surface area and should hopefully ignite better when we ignite our ignition source. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video on the Stewart Tampon Fire Rockets. If you liked the video, please consider liking it on YouTube. It lets us know I'm doing a good job. And if you really liked it, consider subscribing to this 5 Mistakes YouTube channel. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you know when I do my next upload. If you want to see what I'm doing between videos, I'm active on all sorts of social media. I've got a page on Facebook called 5 Mistakes, where I chat to my fans, give ideas of what I'm doing in between videos, and have a little bit of a community. If you're one of my followers from the Facebook page, thank you very much. All your engagement is really wonderful. I'm active on Twitter as @ZoeSurvival. I've set up a subreddit over on Reddit as what else? 5 Mistakes. And I'm also active over on Instagram. So if you want your 5 Mistakes fix, there's no need to wait for the next video. And thanks again to Stewart for being the inspiration for this video. And other than the outtakes, there's only one way I can end the video. That's from me to say to you, get out there and do the impossible every day. Take my sharpened match, drop it on the floor,